So today is October 1st, and we come into the fall season. Cool weather's coming in, and we get ready for the holiday season. We were notified yesterday, and I was glad to hear that Macon County won the Census Bowl. We won the Census Bowl because we worked together. Dr. Jackie Brooks, Chairman Maxwell, Director Lee from Emergency Management, Mr. Sylvester McPherson at WUBZ, and tons of community people worked together to get the Census Bowl won for Macon County, so we could get the $65,000. Thanks to Dr. Elaine Harrington, who kept us on track as far as target toward the Census Bowl competition. What the significance of that is that we were able to win in Macon County, Tuskegee, because we worked together. And I think that's what we have to reflect as we go forward. In this community, tremendous things have been accomplished out of Tuskegee, Macon County throughout the years because people work together. We know each other. We may not all agree on everything at the same time, but for the good of the community, for the good of our citizens, for the good of our young people, we have to find a way to work together. And as we go forward into the future, we want to always keep that focus. Tuskegee is a good community. We heard it said on WSFA today as they brought the weather from Tuskegee and said what a beautiful place it was and how nice and calm and peaceful it is. We have to celebrate that and recognize the opportunities that we have here. Everything's not like we want it to be. We have some challenges and things that need to be finished and completed, but we've made some progress, and we need to celebrate that and be excited about that and come together and continue to do things together so that we can have some more wins and challenges like we did with the Census Bowl. I think that's one of the best examples I can look at because I saw many people out, as our group did, working the census, going from door to door, talking to people, encouraging them to get involved and get counted. That's the same way and the same spirit we need in our community throughout the year. And as we approach this holiday season, let's continue to work together. Let's think about our families. Let's be safe. Let's wear our masks. Let's have social distancing. And let's be respectful of each other. After all, this is the time of year where we remember each other, we give thanks, and we begin to celebrate. So at the end of this challenging time, at the end of this year, as we go through, continue through COVID-19, let's continue to be safe. Let's celebrate each other. Let's celebrate Tuskegee and Macon County and all the good things we stand for here. Good morning. We're here at Tuskegee House of Meats, store established by Mr. Vaughn Tarver, who does C&K Wings in the Yellow Store. We're excited that we have this development in our community. It's an example of one of the other new developments in the community in terms of business and economic development by local people. And that's what's critical as we have local people in our community working with others to develop their businesses. So we ask all to support them in their efforts here at the Tuskegee House of Meats and say congratulations to them on another successful business in our community. We have another example here of economic development in Washington Plaza in Tuskegee. We have 3 new businesses that have come into this area, actually 4. We first have the T-Mobile here, which is right behind me. It's Metro by T-Mobile. Down from there you have the A1 Beauty Supply, and then down on the end you have the new Mexican restaurant, Pueblo Mayo. So we're excited that we have these 3 new businesses in Washington Plaza along with City Gear, which took over for Hibbett Sporting Goods. City Gear is all the way down the other end. As a matter of fact, I got a nice pair of shoes from City Gear about 2 weeks ago, and everybody's been complimenting me on it. So we are glad to see these new developments in our community that create taxes and give us more options for our citizens. As someone was just asking about the Mexican restaurant opening because they wanted a different venue for something to eat. So we're pleased to see that, and we're working with business owners to expand our business opportunities here and more options for our citizens as well. So thank you, Washington Plaza, for working with our businesses, and congratulations to the new businesses that have come to Washington Plaza that expand our economic development in Tuskegee. Highway 80 runs the length of our city from out by Booker T. Washington High School all the way to the fire department. When I came in office, the second year after I was in office, I met with the Alabama Department of Transportation, the regional offices in Union Springs. I met with them and told them things that we needed to address and wanted to address. And some of you may remember we had some very bad spots on Highway 80, especially up past Scipio on the other side of the road. There were dips and bad places. And I asked them could they come and fix those dips because people were hitting them at a fast rate of speed and it was throwing cars off and making it unsafe. Well, in talking with them, they reminded me, they said, Mayor, we're probably going to be paving most of Highway 80. We recognize it hadn't been paved. And I said, well, much as you can do would be appreciated. And so when we talked more and more, we found out that they were able to go ahead and get approved to pave the entire length of Highway 80 throughout Tuskegee. When you start out by Booker T. Washington at the city limits, come all the way downtown and go past the fire department, Highway 80 was paved my second year in office, which was about 2017. We are now working with them on Old Montgomery Road to tell them we want to pave Old Montgomery Road, or what we know as West Montgomery Road now, that goes from Chevron all the way through the campus, all the way to Burger King downtown. And so that's a process that you work with people on and put it on their calendar so they can schedule it, and then it comes about as they're able to schedule it in. So I'll be reaching out to our state representative for support. I'll reach out to our state senator. I'll go back to the Department of Transportation because, as you know, Old Montgomery Road, or as they call West Montgomery Road now, has really deteriorated and become in a condition that needs to be paved again. This is the new intersection that we worked on with Rebuild Alabama. When I went to Maryville, Alabama, met with Governor Ivey, the head of the Department of Transportation, Mr. Cooper, the Speaker of the House, Mac McCutcheon, the Mayor Pro Tem of the Senate, and major leaders from the state of Alabama to talk about this paving and money for new intersections as we have here in Tuskegee now to make it safer for turns. This money came out of Rebuild, Alabama. The county applied for it through A-Trip 2 money, but A-Trip 2 money was made available because we were able to meet with the governor and ask her to make sure that the cities were put in there to get their fair share. I went as a representative of the Alabama League of Municipalities. I was asked to go because I'm on the executive committee, and I went to represent not only the city of Tuskegee, but all the other cities so we could get our fair share. So we now see the additional turning lanes that we have out here on Highway 80 at Pleasant Springs Drive were put in as a result of negotiations that were done over 2 years ago. The county commission applied for the money, as someone showed. Yes, the county commission did apply for the money and conduct it, but it was made available after we were able to get the support for the Rebuild Alabama Act that provided the A-Trip money to allow us to be able to do these projects in different cities and counties. We met with the county engineer, J.D. Smith, and now we have new turn lanes here at Pleasant Springs Drive and Highway 80, which makes it safer for people leaving the high school, whether they're leaving from a football game or whether they're leaving from graduation. All the traffic is not bottlenecked because we have an extra turn lane, which makes it safer for everybody here at the caution light. We're going on to Webb Street. This is a street that's been prepared for paving. We had engineers in just this week from Krebs Engineering, from Goodwin Mills and K-Woods, are going to assist us in getting Webb Street and a number of other streets paved that are in very bad shape and need paving. We can't just come in here and just pave it immediately because it's in such bad shape. The engineers have to decide how to take it up, smooth it out, and then repave it so we won't have these problems again where the streets tear up so bad. Example of Webb Street, you have Nancy Street like that, we have Cox Street or Chisholm Street on the other side of town. So we're working with all of these, and you can see how we're bouncing in the truck, and I'm in a truck because the streets are in such bad condition. These streets have been like this 20, 30 years. You can see the holes here. We fixed some potholes last week on Brothers Drive, but Brothers Drive is another one in Marable Subdivision that we will be paving soon. We have identified the money for the paving in our budget. We'll also be borrowing a large sum of money because we're in good shape financially now so that we can pave these streets, work on the streets, the parks, and Lake Tuskegee. And as you can see, we continue to bounce. So the workers did what they could do in terms of the pothole paving and patching. But right now we have to pave these streets because they're in such bad shape. So I know the citizens were anxious about this, and we thank them for waiting and being patient. But the engineers came, and as you can see, we're hitting these potholes. We'll be paving this street and some others in the very near future. This is one of the areas where we took down an abandoned house that was considered to be blight, and we identified about 4 on West Montgomery Road, or as we familiarly know as Old Montgomery Road. As many of you may remember, it was a white house that had just fallen in and collapsed with trees growing in it. It was right across from College Court, which had been redeveloped. So we wanted to make sure that this was a safer area and it was cleaned up, and the city partnered with the Utilities Board to take this down. Now we've taken down about 34 houses in all in this community, 4 on this strip, and about 18 were done through a previous CDBG grant. We now have a CDBG grant that's called the Webb Street project, in which we're going to take on 4 more on West Montgomery Road, 12 on Webb Street, some on Colbert Street, and even some on Clark Street. So the city's working through different ways in order to take down abandoned properties and make the city look better. This property now will become available to someone for development. It's right near College Court across the street and the Chevron gas station here in Green Fork. This is a location part of the Webb Street project on West Montgomery Road. Most of the houses taken down, about 12 will be on Webb Street, 4 of them will be on West Montgomery Road or Old Montgomery Road. This is right next to the Institute Post Office. This building is in dilapidated condition, and we've worked with the owner. We're going to take it down at no expense to the owner through a grant, a CDBG grant, and clean it up so it'll be a nice site available for development. The owner can develop it, or he or she can sell it so someone else can develop it. That's progress being made in the city because of people working together. We work with the governor, we work with our staff, we work with the head of the DECA, and who has worked with us closely to make sure that we get what we need to carry out these projects. $450,000 from Webb Street project to carry this out. UBT is putting in money for water pipes on Webb Street, and the city's putting in money to take down some of these houses. So we're excited that we're going to be making progress. This is one of those things in progress at this time. The pre-bid meeting was held on Tuesday. We had at least 7 contractors that were there. And someone told me it wasn't mandatory, so we may have as many as 10 or 15 that'll bid on this next week. This is an example of 3 of the houses that will be taken down on Webb Street because of blight. This is an example of a burned out house. Fortunately, we're working with the Utilities Board to put in new water pipes so we have stronger water pressure, and along before we repave the street. So we put in new water pipes and take down about 12 houses. This is one, there's 2 more across the street, as you see, blighted, abandoned houses. These properties become developers to develop and put new houses up here. We've already had some people, some African Americans, fortunately from Montgomery and Detroit, who've expressed an interest in getting these lots to put houses here, because this is extremely close to the campus, right next to the football field, right behind the football field. So it's a great location in a college community. And Webb Street will be totally repaved with new water pipes, be a great location for anyone. We're taking these down and we're making progress toward making them available so they can be developed and made available to new homeowners or for student housing. This is an example of one of the houses in the community being remodeled by citizens. This particular individual is originally from Tuskegee. He's been living in Atlanta, has made his career there, and he's coming back to invest at home. He took this house that had been abandoned for numerous years, came in and has put in new windows, new doors, redone the interior, redid the yard. He's going to have a beautiful house that he redeveloped here. We have a number of people who are doing that in different locations here. This is one of the houses he's doing. He says he's going to be doing 4 houses, and this is one. He's cleared some property over on Green Street where the original chicken coop was over that way, and pushed that down and cleaned that off to do some things. So we have some good development going on in our community as people, not only from Tuskegee, living in Atlanta or in Birmingham and other places coming back. We have alumni and parents from Detroit and Chicago who are also investing in our community. And what I'm particularly pleased about, a lot of that development is happening by African Americans. So we don't have to talk about flight in our community. We don't have to talk about people coming from the outside. These are our own folks who have a connection to Tuskegee, helping develop our community. This is University Terrace, an example of external investment into our community, where they came in and took the old Washington Chapel apartments and totally redid them and turned them into University Terrace with security there, and where you have to go in and out of side of the gates to get in to keep it secure for the students. This is one major development. Now we have a new developer who's coming in to build some housing from the ground up that we'll show you soon. But these are people who came in after 20, 30 years of these apartments were here and hadn't been renovated, totally renovated these apartments. They have 6 additional acres, and they've expressed an interest in building more apartments from the ground up. Just like we had developers to come in here and renovate this property, we have developers now from Birmingham who've taken over the old Capricorn apartments, where we know we had a lot of challenges from that area. Those are new apartments that will be developed, be turned into student housing, and may a much nicer apartments. So we'll see the community continue to improve as we bring in a different type of apartment setting there at Capricorn. He's taken out some of the burned out units. He's totally refurbished the other units, and it'll be a different kind of clientele. So I think you'll see a much improved area over where Capricorn is as it becomes King Manor instead of Capricorn Apartments. This is a site on Highway 80, down from St. Mark Church and from Booker T. Washington High School, where we are working with developers to bring in new apartment complex. This apartment complex, if we get it worked out with the university, will primarily be student housing. But in addition to 500 units for students, so we can bring them back from Auburn and other places, we'll have a new fire station out here, we'll have a new police substation out here, we'll have a recreational facility on 20 of the 42 acres that we have out here. There's 20 other acres we have out there that will likely be used for workforce housing for adults, to bring some of our adults back to the community with single family housing on the back. There'll be a nice design of single family housing in the back of this complex. But initially it'll be apartments on the front. On the side will be a police station and a fire station out here on this side of town, which will cover this side of the community as opposed to the downtown area. That's being developed by Core Construction, PC3 Development. They've been here and met with us 4 times, so we're about to move on this project, which will provide new apartment housing in Tuskegee, Alabama. We're excited about it. We look forward to it. We thank the Utilities Board for the efforts that they're making in terms of making this possible. We're here in Crenshaw Street and Brown Street. These streets were paved last year. Crenshaw Circle and Brown Street, McNair Circle. This was made possible by CDBG grant. The streets here were similar to the streets on Webb Street or over on Nancy Street. They had a lot of craters and potholes, so that paving was done last year. That's the kind of grants we're trying to get for some of the other streets in our city, and that will be done. We forget that sometimes, but I can tell you, when I came through here 2 years ago in my truck, you couldn't hardly get down this street, just like it is over on Cox Street. So we'll be working on that as well. We're here at the Travel Center at Exit 38. The Travel Center being completed, which will be Tuskegee Travel Center, which was brought about by Jeff Potter in his whole development. It'll have a huddle house here, a Shell service station and a convenience store, 16 to 20 gas pumps. It'll have a pizza place here. It's gonna have a TCBY yogurt and Miss Fields cookies, all kind of good things here in this development, and a nice convenience store, along with a Greyhound bus station and a truck stop in the back. It's going to be a great opportunity for us here, and this is tremendous economic development here in the Tuskegee community. The greatest thing about it is a partnership between the city, the Utilities Board, which played a big part in working with Mr. Potter, and Mr. Potter as a local community developer. One from the Marable family, Mr. Potter he and his family invested their money to make this happen in our community. So congratulations to him. They're about to open soon, and we look forward to this great development here in the city of Tuskegee, Alabama, right here in Macon County off Exit 38. We have Popeyes on the other side, and we know what that has done, so we know it's going to be great for our tax revenue and for our community. Another project is the airport terminal building out at Moulton Field. We completed the airport terminal building, which is named for Colonel Herbert E. Carter, who's a Tuskegee Airman, also worked at Tuskegee University and lived within our community. And we're particularly excited that project was completed. And now, as people come to the airport, pilots flying to Moulton Field, they have a nice facility to come to at the terminal. If they're bringing people with them, if they're bringing passengers, if people are coming to meet them, when we have meetings with people talking about economic development, we have a nice terminal facility out at Moulton Field, right in the area of the Tuskegee Airmen National Historic Site and Museum. We regularly try to get feedback from citizens and input on developments in the city. We have on the agenda is a regular place where citizens can give comments. Also, if there are citizens, individual businesses that need to be on the agenda, you just contact the city clerk and we will allow your issue or your matter to be heard. But at each meeting, we have a section for citizens to give comments up to 3 minutes. And that's so we can understand what may be on the minds of citizens that we may not have heard out in the street or out at the supermarket or out just talking to citizens. A lot of times they want to come to the official setting to voice their opinions and share their suggestions to us. So I want to thank the City Council and others that work together, and our clerk, for making that available to citizens so that they know they have an opportunity to come and share whatever they want to share. Now sometimes it's not something we always want to hear, but that's criticism we might need, a suggestion we might need to hear. However frustrated a citizen may be, we want to hear from them, because when you do it in the proper setting, then we know we've heard from you and we can do something about it. But if no one is coming to us or making us aware of something that needs to be addressed, then we miss that opportunity. So thank you to all the citizens who do come to the meetings or who call in or share their concerns with us or their suggestions and even their criticisms when we need to know something or know about something that needs to be addressed. We try to get that information so we then can do something about it and solve the citizens' situation, as well as make things better for us all here in the city of Tuskegee. As we close out, we want to remind you to go to the polls on this Tuesday, October 6th. We ask for your voter support for Lawrence Tony Haygood for mayor. It's important that we continue the progress we've made. We haven't continued a mayor and administration in 20 years. That makes it difficult for city to move forward. As you look at some of the other cities around us, they continue and have continuity, which allows us to accomplish things. We've established relationships with people from the federal government in Washington, D.C., to the state government, through state organizations that have worked with us and are growing things in this community. We've established relationships with developers who've come in here and spent their money and are investing in Tuskegee. We want to continue that and continue to grow our community. We've established relationships locally with people like Jeff Potter, who's worked with the utilities board in the city and the county, and all of us working together. We want to continue to do that because we know working together, we're going to complete the task. We're going to have a much better city, a much better county, a much better community. I need and we need your voter support to continue that. So on this Tuesday, please go to the polls. Vote Lawrence Tony Haygood for mayor for continued progress. Hashtag 2020 progress, continued progress for Tuskegee's future. Thank you.